So we've been talking mostly about internally how this affected you and the things that were able to come from this. But externally, you're also very involved with us on other things, and you have been even before Georgian University. This is an area that's very near and dear to Vic's heart because he drives this for pleOS. In the partnership and commercial sponsorship development, we've had things, and we'll talk about them a little, and Vic will talk about this a little bit. A lot of things that we do custom events. So Meet the Mayors, our second year doing Meet the Mayors. We'll talk about that. Georgian Court has been a sponsor. We do an activation together. We sit down as partners and say, what are the things we can do? What do we want to get out of it? What do you want to get out of it? Same thing with the Newark Bound Magazine event that we have every year that you've been involved with as well. So custom events and the way that we target audiences at this event, we sit down with partners like yourself that are long-term, that we have the same vision of the things that we want to do in those events. Thrive in Atlantic City, which was that big event that we had. You also were involved with Kelsey Grammer that you brought in with his Faith Brewing and beer.
Faith American,
Yeah, so those kind of things, you're out there. You're not just doing marketing and driving some of the strategies that we talked about. You're literally out there physically and supporting a lot. And just, we know alone, just from the bunch that you've done with us, that you're out there actively pursuing partnerships. So let's talk about partnerships for a few minutes. 100%. And why they're so important. And Vic, if you want to kind of kick into it, because this is what you preach a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the partnerships are some of the things that people, people don't realize how important it is to create those kind of visionary partnerships, okay? It has to be good for both parties or all parties involved. And I think a lot of people approach these partnerships with like, oh, this is what I need. You know what I mean? This is what I need. Well, what you need is absolutely important, but you have to also make sure that you know the person that you're partnering with, whether it's an organization or what it is, that they are, that it's going to be mutually beneficial. And that was one of the reasons why, when we started working together, you got it immediately. A lot of people don't. And then we help. If you don't get it, we can help strategize with that and build those relationships and aid in the building of that so that it moves smoothly and everybody gets out of it what they need.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing too, and every time we talk about partnerships and strategy, if you can combine those two, is how do you take it's relationships, right? So a partnership is very, very transactional, right? And so one of the things, and I think why we continue to work together, is that can you convert from transactional to transformational? Right? That sounds very high rate of.
I like. Well, it sounds like a T-shirt to me. But I like that.
Exactly. Hashtag 12%, please.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
No, but seriously, how do you take something to go from transactional, which could be very black and white, to transformational? Because a lot of these things are, again, I'm going to go to horticulture and the aspect you're planting a seed, right? Some of the things we talked about or have talked about, are just sitting dormant, right? And I'm not going to say dead on the vine because although that'll be composting, so that's okay. But
that's okay because we're putting back in.
Points from the wife, good stuff. Yeah. But the aspect is being able to really understand that some of the ideas are going to grow faster than the others.
Right.
Some ideas take dollars. Some ideas take strategic thought and brainstorming. Some of them is like you often know. This morning you posted another one of your lunches. Hey, great things can happen when you meet in person. Yeah. Awesome aspect and some other activities I know you're doing in the coming weeks is. It goes back to the energy. If you get truly authentic and sincere people, partners. So I'm saying people.
That's it.
I got rid of partners. I'm saying people.
Yeah.
If you can combine those sincere, authentic, you can be strategic, but you still need to be sincere. That's where you get long-term partnerships, long-term relationships. And what that translates to is amplification. And amplification when I'm not in the room, when you're not in the room. Am I talking about pleOS? Correct. Am I talking about pleOS and the resources that you have when I'm down in Camden County somewhere at another higher ed meeting or so? And are you talking about GCU or some other initiative that we may have together when I'm not in the room? And when that happens, things happen organically, and then you just have to be ready to respond as they grow. If that answers some of what you're...
No, it does. Some of the things that we've done together...
And you got to have fun. You got to have fun along the way.
Always
Amen,
fun,
brother.
Always fun. We preach that in everything that we do and with all of our client work too. So some of the things that we've done together actually start leading into other areas and other opportunities. And I think you mentioned it, so let's talk about it a little bit. The introduction with Gary Vee and his team with Vayner. And then you took that, and Vic, you can introduce how that all happened, but you took that and then you kind of ran with it and made it a part of the education over at Georgian University as far as some of the classwork. So that's the things that people don't realize, that a partnership and a commercial sponsorship is not just about where you're going to stick my logo and give me a table. That's done with. And my last comment on that, and I'll tag team you on this. We've gotten more and more away from, I'm going to be the silver, the bronze, the gold, the platinum sponsor. And those things are dead. they're dead. Right now, we're partners with bringing TEDx Newark 2026 to life.
Yep.
There is no platinum, silver, gold anymore. We're customizing the sponsorship to exactly what your needs and goals are. And then we sit down and we figure that out as true partners versus saying, here, you're just going to fit in here for how much money you have. It's not about that anymore.
No, because people might not want half the things that you're offering.
Well, correct. And yeah, so there's a little more work to that, which I'm impressed and excited to see develop, because that's kind of, again, I'm going to use the word concierge without it sounding like you're at some spa, you know, in some far off country across the
with mud
across the world. Hashtag you did do that.
Yes, I did do that.
Hello, Slovakia.
We'll get to that later.
So yeah, no, it's being able to, I'm going to say, you know, this feels like it's another cliche, but, you know, sort of trust the process. Right. And that process is buying into the sincerity and authenticity of each other,
right?
Agency level, individual level, and then sponsor level and donors types of things, and say, okay, how can we have, because there are some sponsors say, I need the box to fit. It's the way our system works. I need the box to fit. The customization is not going to work, and
that's fine.
But
you can always do that.
Correct.
Well, the customization still works. They'll say, we just need an ad in your magazine.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, we just need a table. We're like, simple customization, but you got it. Versus, what if we did this, this, and this? You had brought, I'll use Thrive as an example. A big event we had in Atlantic City at the convention center. It was for 50 plus people in health, looking for alternatives in life. And when you brought in Kelsey Grammer, and you brought in David Burke together, the synergies, even when David Burke, who's, if everybody knows the chef, David Burke, he's got like 19 restaurants now, him and Kelsey really hit it off at that event. And that suddenly led to fostering relationships beyond just, oh, this was a standard partnership. We show up, it was a sponsorship, we leave, whatever. There's more than that. There's relationships.
That's the transformational part.
Yeah,
So that's the
exactly.
part. Transactional is, hey, you've got this time slot, you've got this room, you might meet each other. You kind of want to meet each other. Somebody wants to do this.
Right.
It's so I'm a big fan of, you know, creating moments, creating meaningful moments and things like that, and then believing that on that sort of organic, you know, iterations and stuff. So yeah, I mean that's that. Let's go back for a second. You talked about Vayner for a moment. So
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So Vic's part of another network of networks, right? And an aspect comes up about a book and this, you know, what in essence is textbook type design, a workbook, a toolkit. Vic sees it, hears about it, and says, hey, this looks very much like something Ken would understand. This looks like something that you weren't even thinking GCU at the time, other than books to youth. So
Correct.
I guess you were thinking the school.
I was, but I knew you would get it. I knew
yeah.
you would get it.
So he invites us, the president and I, we go to a really great book launch. It's the NASDAQ bell ringing. There's another synergy of non-traditional ways of amplifying. Exactly. So Gary Vee says, I'm not just going to do a book signing or book launch. Let's combine it with a NASDAQ bell ringing. Yeah. Let's really amplify Vayner in a different way. I had my Gary Vee shoes, the classics. I should have worn them today, but classics. And he was like, what? Where'd you get these? But I had them in the closet for a good decade and a half, saying, there's going to be a day. And I almost left without them, but I put them on. I'm like, this is pretty slick. I brought them separate. I didn't want to walk the streets in all the gum, but I kept old school, brand new, you know, these K-Swiss kicks from Gary Vee. And you kind of just create these moments, types of things. And so you introducing a book translated to us reviewing it, me reviewing it, the dean reviewing it, and saying, hey, the president opening it up and saying, wow, this looks really good. And me at the time, and still are, teaching social media marketing. And I said, wait, this has got to be an add-on to the class. Let's make this book part of the class, supplementing with a bunch of videos as well to bring real world examples. I mean, a lot of textbooks in any day, marketing specifically, will have, hey, and this is what, you know, large company X is doing, and you kind of follow it. But the speed of which marketing is moving, the speed of which innovation is moving, you got to have a blend of a hard copy, Georgian, hey guys, hard copy resource as well as an online, you know,
because it's evolving.
Yep.
And once you understand that the evolution, and when those opportunities come up, and the fact that you just said that is that you also have to be playing heads up ball. You have to see where those opportunities are and say, you know what, that might be a good fit. Let's pick up the phone. Let's do that, you know, send that text or whatever it is, because that could have gone unnoticed.
Yeah.
It could have gone unnoticed.
And correct, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's so one of those things is like, I'm a baseball player, was back in the day. And you think about, for those who are ball players, you think about, hey, when you saw the entire outfield shift positions. And now they've stopped it and they said, oh, don't go crazy with what you do on your field positions, but you would shift. Now you're shifting because you're anticipating something. You may anticipate it. In that case, this person's never going to pull the ball, has never pulled the ball before. You can kind of sit on first base and nothing's going to happen. If you can anticipate some of those things, and this goes back to, you got to be in the room, you got to be at the places and see things. And then this is another one of those Gary V initiatives or mantras is that, you got to show up. Right, you got to show up, and it doesn't mean you have to succeed at everything, but you got to show up.
Be there. You got to be in the room.
So we infused from a text into a call, into a leap of faith, into a trip into New York, into a book, into a textbook, and then infuse videos as well as if you've got live content, if you've got relative content coming out, that's easy for me to insert into a course.
This little example, you starting off because your relationships with James Orsini and Gary V and the organization there, and then your eyes constantly being open for partnerships and those that we have relationships with. That wasn't about specifically a commercial sponsorship. It was about where can this opportunity go?
Yep.
Then he plugs you in. But the master class here, and I give both of you kudos for this, is what you then did with it. First of all, at that event, you were incredibly active. You were in a lot of the photos. You were active, but it was important, right?
Like I was hanging out with the mascot. I was a mascot before. I got to hang out with this guy.
Exactly, but you were maximizing your ROI for coming to the event and being involved.
A little bit.
And then the magic is not what happens at the event. You always preach this. It's what happens after the event. And what you did after the event was literally take this textbook idea and build that into curriculum.
Yep.
That's where the magic happened. It wasn't that you were at the event. That was great. You were able to now make that connection, but it was what you took and went with it. We wish every commercial sponsorship that we get involved with and every partner and people that we know would take it that far.
I'm not going to reach over the table, but the GCU magazine right there, you flip to page 18 or 20 something, and there's a picture of the president, myself, and Gary up at the NASDAQ. It's where can you continue the legs? So that was a celebratory thank you as well as an amplification. And so
So on that point, commercial sponsorships, partnerships, the people that we want to work with and get to know in the relationships we have, everybody talks about ROI. The ROI is the relationship.
Yes.
What you do with it thereafter is
that
how
is the R in ROI.
No, I 100%. And I think stay here for a second because the aspect of you could go all the way down to cost savings, full cost accounting on this other stuff. Like I have an idea or I need to reach out. Well, who do you reach out? Where do you go? Like the value of that network, right? So the R in the relationship and the ability for someone to just give a call and we'll text, hey, you got an idea or whatever it is, or it's something that going to be in the area of Lakewood, want to stop by campus, say hello, whatever it, you get to a point where you can minimize the amount of chatter.
That's a good way
text each other quickly and say, hey, let's
make this
explore.
Happen.
And the proof in the pudding with you is that it's been going on for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got involved with the Hambletonian because of the relationship with Andrea over at Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment.
Yep.
And then suddenly you were part of that event. And then you took it and ran with that event also. So
no pun intended.
Sometimes we make the introductions either in an agreement where there's sponsorship agreements and all that. And sometimes it's introductions we make because we see an opportunity. It fits right in that peg. And those that take it and run with it and make it into something, you are definitely one of those that get it more than we've seen more than anyone. I mean, you're really, really good at
I
that.
appreciate that.
Really
you have to have the other ones is respect and trust, right? So you're trusting me to come in and represent that extended relationship.
True.
I then have to share and respect back and show you that I value that trust by making sure that that event runs smoothly. That component, whether it's 5 minutes or
whatever it is,
wackiness of when I jump around like what I do, but it's based on sincerity of making that event, that moment more meaningful to all the participants. So all the people that were there to see the hats and to see the race and do all that stuff. Oh, and by the way, we strategically placed Faith American Brewing and Kelsey Grammer right in the heart of where all this people would go, and they weren't aware that was going to happen. Many showed up, didn't know it was going to happen, and get to just really experience something very different. That's where, to me, you get legs and momentum and amplification that allows you to then pick up a phone a little bit later, and not have to go through minutes and hours or tons of writing to sort of pitch an idea. You kind of just call and say, hey, this is what there is. And to further along the Vayner aspect, there are other senior members of the Vayner world that are now new authors, soon to be best-selling authors. And we will have them. We will have her. This is like a sneak peek. I'm dropping some ideas about Claude, but we will have her on campus and we'll do a book release and meet with students and talk. And so it doesn't mean it has to happen in 3 hours, 3 months. No. It may be
We're playing a long game.
That's right. Yep.
You know.
So that's been great. The one that you had mentioned earlier about Atlantic City, Thrive, that was another intersection of half a dozen to a dozen people that we all work with in different industries to converge in Atlantic City to pitch a stronger, thoughtful wellness, both physical and financial wellness. And then we inserted a bunch of other things about, hey, check out this small business owner. Oh, what? Right. Kelsey Grammer, small business owner. There's nothing small about this guy. This guy's, this guy's awesome. He's got all these different things going on. But he is a small business when it comes to the beer. And so when he's there, he's representing his small business aspect side by side with David Burke and others. So it's pretty cool to see.
That was a
you got
special
spin-off times where there's, you've got these guest appearance vocalists that pop in every once in a while. I know there's one in the production studio right now listening in. She's a rock star.
Well, absolutely. But that's what we do.
I think somewhere in here.
That's what we do here.
Actually, remember the funny aspect of this when I see David Burke again. I'm a vegan. I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat in 15 years.
Yeah,
and I'm the one serving the bacons that he. I'm sitting there prepping bacon
we have
for all the guests in the entire convention center. And it was funny because he was laughing at me. He's like, "Well, sorry, I needed help, and you offered."
No, you did that well, and
I remember that was hysterical.
Yeah, so you've got to see it. You've got to, you talk about being in the right position, but you've got to see it and then just be sincere. But you also have to respect, whose event it is, and kind of say, "Hey, is this something we want to try to do and whatnot?"
Yeah, no, that's all it's about is but making sure you're paying attention, right?
And on video, I'm going to thank you because you've been a sponsor
forever.
and a partner forever, way before Georgian Court, but since Georgian Court, of all the different types of things we do, and you help us assess and make each one of those events better. So we appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. I mean, it's easy for me to latch on when good things are happening in all parts. I don't even say the state now; it's all parts of the world. So.
That's another video.
People often say, I've got a lot of energy, but I look at Vic's world and I get tired. I'm actually never tired, but it's
no, you're not
ever.
Ever. It's exciting, but I thank you for this. It's one of those aspects where if a group, if there's anyone watching this that's really not just in higher ed, but specifically higher ed and even nonprofits, and you want to do sort of self-assessment, strategic planning, really understand where you want to go and grow, pleOS would be a good spot to make your next call.
And just as importantly, anyone that wants to further themselves and their family and their career, there's a lot of opportunity at Georgian Court University. A lot of opportunity. And you're creating new things all the time.
All the time.